Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at yet another tiny shortwave prepper radio. This is another Malahit SDR receiver, and this one's a little interesting, so we'll check it out when we come back. Alright everybody, welcome back. Now for a while you guys have known that I really feel that communications is very important during times of disaster or emergency. And having a way to receive communications, you don't have to transmit, you can passively receive them, and that really can be a help during emergencies or disasters. So one of the things I like is a small, portable, carryable radio that you can take with you in, say, a bug-out bag or a get-home bag or even in your vehicle that you can listen to. And the shortwave bands, even though a lot of people seem to think there's not much on them, the shortwave bands do have a lot to offer. They also allow you to listen to ham radio. And during emergencies and disasters, that's where your first responders are going to be, passing information, or just regular hams on there passing information. So you can kind of get a feel and an idea of what's going on. Plus, it allows you to monitor stuff from the outside world during disasters or emergencies. Now, you'll notice the screen will dim from time to time. That's a setting. We'll get into all that in a second. I'll just reset it. That's to save battery. Anyway, this original receiver, this type of receiver, was originally developed in Russia, and it had a Russian manual converted to English. If you find that one, they are very good receivers. They're also much more expensive than even this one, and this one is a little bit more, and there's a reason for that. This receiver comes with the original Russian software, which is a whole lot better than the limited software in other radios that you'll find for like, $100. So you got that right to start off with. You got a ton more features in a radio like this, and it has the original Russian software, which can be upgraded. When you turn this on and off, you will see all the information of the original person who wrote the software. So this is really just a vessel or an empty shell. What does the work on an SDR radio is the software itself, and that's why that's really important. So let's talk about the radio really quickly. First thing I found out was the filters work very well. The automatic gain control works awesome. The noise reduction button is amazing for removing background noise, and it makes a big, big difference. Like any of these, when you push this NR, noise reduction button, you will go from listening to staticky HF radio, maybe hams talking, to almost FM sound quality. And it kills the background noise so you can hear lower signals down in the mud that maybe you wouldn't be able to hear normally. It kills all the static, so all that comes through is the signal. You may have to turn up the volume a little bit, but you will be able to hear the person talking. Another thing about these radios is expect to learn by doing. Join the Facebook groups, look up online, watch the YouTube videos on how people modify these. There are a ton of settings when you connect this to a computer that you can upgrade or modify. You can flash the firmware in it. You can do a ton of stuff with this. There are a bunch of different options down here on the bottom as well for settings. This does come fully featured. There is nothing disabled on this radio. So if I go to the audio settings, you see all of my audio settings. Let me bring that up a little closer. Are right there to mess with, There's nothing that says disabled except for squelch, which I've disabled. You can enable it, see? These are all your frequencies. So there's a lot to play with this radio on. Now another thing too, don't expect to pick up signals on a tiny little radio like this with this little tiny antenna. You are going to need either an external antenna or a wire antenna to really hear shortwave well. You're not going to pick up much, and especially with band conditions being the way they are today, you're not going to get much. Now, we are going to demo this at the end of the video, and I took a ton of video of different broadcasts and hams talking and WWV and all that. We're going to demo it at the end, but I do want to let you know that right off the bat. Now, I'm using an MLA 30 active antenna. You don't have to use something like that. I've shown you videos where I've built my own long wire. And I tested it with this. I just strung it up in my trees out front, about 10 feet up off the ground, and clipped that little alligator clip to the antenna, and it was a world of difference. I won't do much here, but you get the idea. It won't do much here because it's not unraveled, but you get the idea. That's how it works. You just clip it on there, and you are good to go. So it's definitely a handy little radio, and you can definitely do a whole lot with it. Now, on this radio, you have a 3.5-inch capacitive touch screen. So wherever you touch, if you want to move around the bands, you can. So I'm moving around the bands there. So wherever you touch, you can move around on the bands, and you can also adjust it via the frequency encoder over here, which works very, very well. It's not sticky like some of the other radios where you turn it and it doesn't move. When I turn it, it actually moves. So that's kind of handy too. It's got 2-layer board structure inside, so you have better performance out of this. You've got 2 layers instead of 1, so you get a little less interference when you're touching the screen and doing things like that. It picks up, it rejects a lot more outside interference as well. It's got a nice little sound unit inside. I opened it up really quick to take a look. It's got 2 vibrating chambers. The speaker comes inside a sound chamber in the back here, and this is where you'll hear the sound from, these holes in the back. And it kind of makes for a little bit of a, I guess a better way of saying it would be like a bass driver. You know, you hear it really, really well. It's very clear sound coming through. So the quality is pretty good. You can connect an external speaker, and in some of the test video that I shot already, we did connect this little external speaker in here into the audio jack on the side. It's just a standard connector on the side there. Really, really easy to do, and it does sound really, really good. Now you have the option when pushing in on the frequency encoder of turning on headphones only or external speaker only, or both. So I had this radio playing plus the external speaker, and you'll see the sound quality when you hear it. Some of the ones aren't very loud, and that's because I didn't have the other one plugged in. Some of them are very loud. It is a low radio, so I would suggest using headphones with it, especially since you're monitoring and you don't necessarily want the world to know what you're monitoring in a disaster or emergency. So it's kind of handy for that. It will receive AM, FM, narrow FM, and wide FM, and CW, and the frequency range is from 50 kilohertz to 2 gigahertz. So it's got quite a wide frequency range. Now it will not receive broadcast AM and FM. Okay, it just leaves those parts out of the band out, so you can't receive it. Again, if you're looking for shortwave radio, that's pretty cool. It does cover all the ham bands as well. So like I told you, it has really nice adaptive noise suppression in the audio section in there. So you can really tweak that, really fine tune it for the noise blanker and the automatic gain control. Really can tweak it and make it really nice. You have your automatic noise filter as well there that can be enabled. And you also have the wide FM stereo if you're listening to FM. It does sound really, really nice on shortwave music broadcasts. You'll hear, I believe one of the things I shot was some religious channel that was talking, and his voice is coming through so clear. It really sounds good for a shortwave radio. You do have your visual cues down here. You can push this, and you have a whole option of how you want the waterfall delay to look. How you want the waterfall to look, I mean. The color, the delay, the waterfall gain. It says WTF gain. Don't laugh at that. It's the waterfall gain. Brightness. Now here's the reduction time, 30 seconds. That's why it was, I can set that to whatever I want if I push that button and change it to 20 seconds or whatever. I hope you guys can see that. 65 seconds. Let's leave it at a minute. Anyway, so there's a lot to mess with on there. You have your noise reduction button. You just literally will turn that on and it works. You have your different modes here. And those are all your modes. Right now I have it in AM. It does have a CW decoder. Okay. So you can do pretty much whatever you want with this radio. It has upper and lower sideband, narrow FM, wide FM, CW, and DSB. So it does have a lot of cool features. And the modes are really, really simple to take care of and check out and listen to. As I said, the main controls are 2 encoders here. They are very, very sturdy. This is an aluminum chassis on here. Aluminum body, I mean. And these are made of aluminum as well. They are really sturdy. They work well. You won't have any problems with those whatsoever. You don't have any kind of issues like on my other radio that I demoed a long time ago. Not the SDR, not the Malahit radio. I noticed that the encoder will sometimes slip. You'll be spinning it and the numbers aren't moving. With this, you spin it and the numbers move. So that's really handy, nice to know. Some of the encoders on some of the cheaper copies of this radio don't work very well. Now it can be charged with an internal battery. It's got a 3.7 volt, 3800 milliamp hour battery. It can be charged with Type-C on the side here. You can also control this with a CAT controller, so it can broadcast to another, not broadcast, but it can connect to another device, and you can make this display bigger on your CAT display. And it does come with this USB-C cable, so that's kind of neat too. You can upgrade the firmware with this as well, connect it to a computer, and there are loads of YouTube videos. Honestly, if you like the way it performs, I wouldn't mess with upgrading the firmware at all. It's a little bit over some people's heads, and you don't really want to mess around with something like that and end up screwing up the radio. You can brick the radio if you don't do it correctly. So as far as power consumption, 300 milliamp hours when listening with headphones, and that's another reason why I suggest headphones. It does give you the ability to monitor and listen quietly without drawing attention to yourself, say in a public setting, or if you're alone somewhere and you don't want people to hear you, that's really handy too. So that's why I like this as a bug-out radio as well. And I mean, it's so small, it's so tiny. to have all these features packed into this is pretty darn impressive. It does have, as I said, the built-in SMA connected telescoping antenna. Don't expect to receive much with it. It's not a powerful antenna. It's not a good antenna for, say, long-distance shortwave. Now, if you have some strong shortwave signals, don't get me wrong. I pulled in some very strong shortwave signals, but right now the bands seem to be a little bit lower than normal, and I'm not getting much with it without using an external antenna. Now, I did say it does have an SMA socket, so if you do decide for an external antenna, you will need an SMA adapter or one that can connect to an SMA antenna. It is 4.8 inches by 1.5 inches and 10.1 ounces. So, what I'm going to do is roll in the footage of the various shortwave and ham and other utility bands that I found, what we listened to the other night, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll come back and we'll finish up.
I should start doing that again. I used to put rubber bands around the bottom of the jeans I was wearing, and so that nothing could get inside the jeans from the bottom. And I should certainly start doing that again, so not get this same problem back. SDR1, BuilderColorMinistry.org. And like I say, just explore the website, go to our contact page, and send me an email if you like. I'd appreciate it. Another way is to give us a telephone call if you have access to the phone. Our phone number is 001. That's U.S. code you're just a couple clicks off the freeway from when you're cruising through. If you can schedule yourself for just a pit stop for an hour or two, we can take the electric bicycles and go for a little spin. And I think you probably try to stuff it in your truck and take it with you. Well, they're telling us between 6 and 9 conserve energy. Put your air conditioner up to 78. That's a little too warm for me. I'd like to keep it at like 74. Yeah, so it's getting a good workout. And my old one that was actually the main when they moved it. It's a heat pump. It's not as big, but it's low. It's not cold air. I think it's what it is. It's just low on.
All right, so pretty darn impressive with that external antenna. I mean, right now we're not really receiving anything. I can't even get WWV in at the moment. It's just, even on my HF radio inside, it's very staticky in the mud, so you can't really hear it. But for a little tiny radio like this, it's a powerful little option. And again, a home-built antenna, something like this, toss it outside in the trees, you got yourself a shortwave monitoring station that fits in your palm of your hand. That's pretty impressive. I really can't complain about the size of it. Now, the price. This is more expensive because it does have the original Russian software. So those of you getting the ones that are like in the $125 range, they're going to be a little bit cheaper because they have different software in them. This one runs $286.99, so $287. It's a nice little tiny radio, but you're going to pay for the cost. You're going to pay the price for it because it's a good little radio. I really am impressed with it so far. We will be probably testing this out outside a little bit more in the future. I want to just turn the monitor back on there. And I got to say, it's a neat little system. I do like the fact that you can upgrade it and tinker with it. This is probably going to be the one I tinker with more. I have my other one that just works, and it's missing some features like this one has, but it just works. So I'm not going to mess with it all that much. So that's pretty much it. I'm really, really pleased with it, and I'm really happy with it. So that is, we're going to turn it off, and I'll show you. It makes their call sign. Makes the Russian call sign of the person who invented the radio. So all in all, neat little system. And yeah, a little bit pricey, but definitely worth it. It does come with your cable, so you won't need an extra cable for that. And like I said, you just string up a wire antenna and you got yourself a little palm-sized monitoring station. Anyway, folks, that's the video. I will put a link down below. Don't forget to check out all our other links. Right now, our preparewithiridium.com link. Okay, that is our Food for Patriots link. They are running 2 specials. They are limited time specials. You got the 4-week emergency food supply kit. You're going to save 25% on that. It was $297, now it's $222, and that's 2,000 calories a day for 4 weeks. You also have the 3-month emergency supply. That really is the best value because you're going to save $300 on that one. And you got meals averaging 2,000 calories per day, 21 varieties, up to a 25-year shelf life. It is a big thing. It weighs 120 pounds when it shows up. It's in 6 different containers. So you got 6 different water-resistant buckets. So that is a definitely good deal right there. It was $8.97. It's now $5.97. 3 months of food put away is definitely something to look at. So check them out too. That's preparewithiridium.com. And don't forget to check out all our other links, our Amazon affiliate store where this will be located, and everything else. Anyway, folks, I thank you for watching. Stay safe and stay prepared.